I caught a tremendous fish and held him beside the boat, half out of water with my hook fast in a corner of his mouth. He didn't fight. He hadn't fought at all. He hung a grunting weight, battered and vulnerable and homely. Here and there his brown skin hung in strips like ancient wallpaper, and its pattern of darker brown was like wallpaper. Shapes like full-blown roses, stained and lost through age. He was speckled with barnacles, fine rosettes of lime, and infested with tiny white sea lice, and underneath 2 or 3 rags of green weed hung down, while his gills were breathing in the terrible oxygen, the frightening gills, fresh and crisp with blood that can cut so badly. I thought of the coarse white flesh packed in like feathers, and big bones and the little bones, and dramatic reds and blacks of his shiny entrails, and the pink swim bladder, like a big something. I looked into his eyes, which were far larger than mine, but shallower and yellowed, the irises blackened and packed, with tarnished tinfoil seen through the lenses of old scratched ensign glass. They shifted a little, but not to return my stare. It was more like the tipping of an object toward the light. I admired his sullen face, the mechanism of his jaw, and I saw from that his lower lip, if you could call it a lip, grim, wet, and weapon-like, hung 5 old pieces of fish line, or 4 and a wire leader, with the swivel still attached, with all their 5 big hooks, grown firmly in his mouth, a green line, frayed at the end where he broke it, 2 heavier lines, and a fine black thread, still crimped from the stain and snap which it broke and he got away. Like metals with their ribbons frayed and wavering, a 5-haired beard of wisdom trailing from his aching jaw, I stared and stared. Then victory filled up the little rented boat from the pool of bilge where oil had spread a rainbow. Around the rusted engine of the Baylor rusted orange, the sun cracked and oryx on their strings. The gunnels, which everything was rainbow, 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 and I let the fish go.
Okay, so the speaker is a fisherman because in the poem he/she is fishing. The speaker is never identified as a girl or boy, but we can infer that the speaker is a male because he refers to the fish as a male to represent his inner conflict. For the occasion, this poem takes place on a boat in the middle of a body of salt water, which is assumed to be the ocean because of the reference to the sea barnacles and the sea lice. The speaker is talking to himself because he is comparing himself to the fish for the audience. The purpose is deciding whether to keep the fish or let it go. The subject of this poem is physical characteristics of the fish. The fish is directly introduced. The tone is the renewal of the speaker.